If you've ever left a meeting thinking, I had the right ideas, so why didn't I land the way I wanted? You are not alone. Executive presence isn't only about competence, it's about signal strength. It's about the nonverbal cues that tell people you are credible, composed, and worth listening to. In high stakes leadership environments, your credentials may get you into the room, but your executive presence determines whether people actually follow you. Executive presence is often described as an intangible aura or an X factor that some people just have. But psychology tells us something very different. Executive presence is not mystical. It is a predictable set of behavioral signals that the human brain reads quickly and unconsciously. And this becomes especially important when you are dealing with a toxic colleague who attempts to undermine your authority, challenge your credibility, or provoke emotional reactions that make you look less steady than you are. Research on first impressions shows that people make trait judgments in as little as 100 milliseconds. That means your posture, facial expression, voice, and stillness are often evaluated before you even finish your first sentence. Research on thin slices of behavior shows that observers can form surprisingly accurate and consistent impressions of leadership simply by watching brief, silent clips of someone interacting. So, this isn't about being fake, it's about being intentional. It's about aligning what you know internally with what you signal externally. Today, I want to walk you through 6 nonverbal cues that command respect and create executive presence, even in the presence of difficult personalities. And along the way, I'll give you specific phrases you can use to hold your authority without escalating conflict. Let's start with the foundation. The first cue is confident posture and stillness, what I call the I belong here signal. Posture is one of the most powerful status signals humans read automatically. An upright, grounded posture communicates confidence, competence, and leadership. A collapsed or closed posture, even when your words are strong, can signal uncertainty or low status. Psychologists refer to this as embodied cognition, the idea that the body and mind influence one another. Research on embodied power shows that expansive, upright posture can increase a person's sense of agency and action orientation, even when their formal role hasn't changed. In leadership contexts, people with calm, open posture are perceived as more decisive and more capable. A toxic colleague will often try to shrink others through interruptions, leaning in, or physical crowding. When you maintain stillness and grounded posture, you communicate that you are not easily rattled. Stillness is particularly important. High status individuals tend to move less, not more. They don't fidget, over gesture, or rush their movements. In meetings, practice placing both feet on the ground, stacking your posture, relaxing your shoulders, and minimizing self soothing behaviors like touching your neck or adjusting your clothes. If you're interrupted, don't rush. Pause. Stay upright. Let one beat of silence land before you speak. That pause sends a powerful message. I'm in charge of my pace. A phrase you can use here is, I'm going to finish this point first so the team has the full context. The second cue is eye contact and gaze control, or attention as authority. Eye contact is one of the most socially meaningful nonverbal cues we have. Research shows that direct gaze influences attention, emotional response, and perceived credibility. In leadership contexts, steady eye contact is associated with dominance, confidence, and competence. But this must be calibrated. Too little eye contact reads as insecurity. Too much reads as aggression. The goal is anchored attention. When you speak, land your key points with eye contact, then release it naturally. In group settings, rotate your gaze so you're not speaking to just one person. In one-on-one conversations, hold eye contact for a full sentence, then briefly look away before returning. When dealing with a toxic colleague, eye contact becomes a boundary. Passive-aggressive individuals often look away, check their phone, or smirk to signal disrespect. By holding steady eye contact without hostility, you non-verbally insist on professional engagement. If someone deflects or makes a dismissive comment, try this. Finish your sentence, hold eye contact for 3 seconds, and stay silent. Silence paired with gaze often forces the other person to fill the space or soften their stance. A powerful phrase here is, I'm going to stay with the agenda item. The third cue is facial expression and microreactions, warmth without over explaining. Social psychology shows that people evaluate leaders through two primary lenses: warmth and competence. Executive presence is not about choosing one over the other, it's about conveying both. Your face is the fastest channel through which people judge intent and ability. Under stress, many high achieving professionals unintentionally show shock, defensiveness, or appeasement on their face. Over-smiling while being undermined signals submission. Tight-lipped freezing can read as contempt. The goal is a neutral, calm baseline: relaxed brow, unclenched jaw, attentive eyes. When challenged, practice interested neutrality: a slight nod, steady gaze, calm expression. This tells the room you are listening without conceding authority. A phrase that pairs well with this is, "That's a fair question. Here's my answer." The fourth cue is vocal presence: pace, pitch, and pauses that read as leadership. Your voice is verbal, but how you use it is largely nonverbal. Psychologists call this prosody, the rhythm, tone, and inflection of speech. Research shows that people tend to associate steady, resonant, unhurried voices with confidence and leadership. While pitch preferences are influenced by bias and are not a reliable measure of competence, pace and pauses are fully within your control. Stress speeds up speech and raises pitch. A toxic colleague may intentionally interrupt or provoke to knock you off your rhythm. Counter this by slowing down. Drop your pace by about 10%. End sentences with a downward inflection instead of letting them rise like a question. Most importantly, use pauses. A 2-second pause before responding to a challenge signals thoughtfulness rather than reactivity. A pause after a key point lets your words land. A powerful phrase here is, "Let's pause for a moment. This decision matters." The fifth cue is intentional gestures: clarity, credibility, and command. Gestures are not filler. Research on nonverbal communication shows that purposeful gestures increase clarity and perceived confidence when they align with your message. Leaders with executive presence use fewer gestures, but they use them intentionally. Small, controlled hand movements to mark key points are effective. Open palms briefly signal transparency. A relaxed clasp or steeple at midline signals composure. Keep your hands visible. Hidden hands can unconsciously read as guarded. Avoid frantic movements, pointing, or self-touching, which signal nervous arousal. For example, when outlining priorities, you might say, "There are 3 priorities," and subtly count them with your fingers. The sixth cue is proxemics, or controlling physical space. Proxemics is the study of how humans use space and how it affects behavior. In professional environments, how you occupy space communicates rank. Leaders with executive presence move with purpose, respect others' boundaries, and confidently occupy their own space. A toxic colleague may use spatial intimidation, standing too close, leaning over your desk, or hovering. The fastest way to neutralize this is to stand up and meet them at eye level, or to change locations entirely. Research on environmental psychology shows that individuals who occupy central or claimed spaces are perceived as more influential. Sitting at the table rather than the edge, spreading materials in front of you, and choosing seats intentionally all reinforce belonging. A phrase you can use here is, "Let's take this to the conference room so we can look at the data together. Now let's bring this together." Executive presence in conflict is not about being liked, it's about being respected and effective. Many high-performing women feel trapped between being warm and being labeled difficult. The solution is not changing who you are. It's aligning your internal regulation, your external signals, and your language. A toxic colleague relies on disruption. They want you to rush, defend, over-explain, or react emotionally. When you maintain posture, gaze, calm expression, measured voice, and clear boundaries, you become very hard to destabilize. To practice this, choose one presence objective before a difficult interaction: calm authority, warm and firm, direct and composed. Then choose one nonverbal cue to lead with. Maybe it's stillness, maybe it's slowing your voice. Then script your first two sentences. For example, "Thanks for raising that. Here's my perspective. I want to be clear about expectations going forward." Then stop. Executive presence is built through repetition, not perfection. And the more you practice these nonverbal cues, the less energy you will spend managing difficult personalities, and the more your leadership will speak for itself. Make sure to like, subscribe, and grab my free leadership workbook, 5 Steps to Communicate with Calm, Clarity, and Confidence, at powerofpeacefulness.com. Until next time, take a deep breath. Embrace the present moment and keep walking your path to peace.